All right. Welcome back to another episode 3 of From Hoods to Backwoods podcast. I have Tex Lafon here with me and his bug zapper microphone.
From Hoods to Backwoods podcast. Welcome to the show.
All right. So we've done our fair share of traveling here a bit. So we're just going to cover some places we've been, what we've experienced, and all that type of fun stuff. Just kicking it off here. Where have you traveled to the most? Out of state, I used to go to San Francisco on a pretty regular basis because I have family out there, and that's one of the reasons I have ties to the Bay Area in general. So yeah, I definitely familiar with San Francisco and what it was like. It's different now. I haven't been back in a while, but what it was like back in the '90s, especially in 2000s. That's when I spent most of my time there. I was going there just about every summer for a while there, and saw the typical stuff. They have touristy things to do there.
Well, have you seen this one thing in San Francisco?
Which thing?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
These nuts?
No, there's a guy. There's a guy that's called the Bushman. Have you ever heard of the
Nah,
Bushman?
that doesn't ring a bell.
Well, there's someone I know that went to San Francisco, and this guy dresses up like a bush, and he sits on the side, and he'll come in and be like, "You want to see my bush? You want to see my bush? $10. You get to see my bush." And that's in San Francisco.
Nah,
That's where you go,
sounds
son.
vaguely familiar.
But it's true though. There's a guy that's called the Bushman in San Francisco though. And when they told me this story, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way in hell I would pay someone $10 to see someone dressed up like a bush. Get out of here.
Right?
I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
It's just a
I'm not
story
paying
that
for any bush.
what? Yeah, I'm just saying. It's especially when there's a guy on the side of the street dressed up like a bush. It's funny. Only in San Francisco, son. Only in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of a tripped out place. Great food, and again they have the Fisherman's Wharf, which I try to avoid because a lot of tourists go down there. But they have like Little Italy, which has really great food. I actually have a story about that. I went to visit my uncle, and he's like, "You want to go get some Italian food?" I just arrived. He was barely picking me up from the airport. I was like, "Yeah, definitely. I'm here in San Francisco. They have great Italian food and some real stuff. So let me go." And we we're like driving along, and he pulls over and he starts heading to this building. I look up. He's like, "All right, we're gonna go eat here." It was Carrabba's. So
Oh, really?
it took me to an Italian restaurant chain, which is okay, but when you have the chance to get some real stuff, yeah,
Well, as I
that
was
kind of
saying,
sucked.
I just think it's funny you went to an Italian place in San Francisco when there's probably way more options than Italian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, the seafood's great there, and there's Chinatown. I used to go to Chinatown.
Oh yeah, like
On
Kurt
a
Russell.
regular. Not a Big Trouble in Little China quite, but I didn't see anything like that. No demons or anything floating around.
No, well, like you said, that's good.
Right. It is kind of weird because when you go down there, it's you see all the ducks hanging in the windows. When they make the ducks in the restaurants and stuff like that, they just have them hanging there.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat if you've never been there. It's worth going, especially if you talk to somebody local. That's where I was fortunate. My uncle knew a great restaurant to go to, and we would just go there every time. They had some food there I definitely never had anywhere else. So yeah, it was more authentic in that sense. Yeah, that's the thing. You have the Little Italy area, so you had great Italian food. You had Chinatown for the Chinese food, and then of course you get closer to the bay and all the seafood and stuff like that. So there's also Ghirardelli Square, which is a big chocolate thing. If you go to the store, you can find their stuff there. But they have the actual location where it kind of all started, and you can go visit and take a tour.
Oh, nice.
And of course, took the trolley cars. I remember my dad got mad at me because we were riding on the trolley car. We got off went to this little convenience store for whatever reason, get something to drink or whatever it was. And at that time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the video game at the arcade, had come out not too long ago. I was sitting there watching people play it.
Oh, nice.
Well, my parents left.
They just
So
left you?
they went on the trolley. They didn't realize that, hey, he was still there watching a video game. So I'm sitting there watching. All of a sudden, I feel somebody grab me, and I turn around. And it was my dad. He
Oh, that's
wasn't too
funny.
happy
I bet
because
not.
yeah, my mom already hopped on the trolley, so she was heading down. And this is before cell phones too, so it's not like I could just text or call. Yeah,
Well,
so she was
yeah.
already on the trolley. He had to hop off and grab me, and there we were.
Did
We
y'all
did catch
run
up
the
to her, and it
I'm
was
about to
okay.
say, did y'all run to try jumping back on the same trolley, or did you, like, wait
No,
for the
I was
next
living on
one?
the streets for 3 years in San Francisco. No, I'm kidding. So,
No, I'm just saying, y'all weren't cool enough to try running and jumping back on? Y'all just like, "Nah, we'll wait for the next one, son."
no, because by the time my dad realized and the trolley was already gone, yeah, we couldn't have caught up to it. I was probably about, I don't know, 10 or 11, maybe 12 at the oldest when that happened. So
Oh, I gotcha.
yeah.
So, well, that's cool, though. So you didn't get a slice of pizza for your troubles?
No, no, I just got a stern talking to. That was what I got. Don't you do that again? You when we're going, you pay attention and see. And I was like, I
Yeah,
was
but I
watching
was
Ninja
all about
Turtles.
that. Yeah, exactly. Ninja Turtles, Dad. Come on now. So you should tell him.
All right. So yeah, I mean in the United States, but out of state, that's someplace I would go to on a regular basis. In state in Arizona, where I grew up, Sholo, Arizona, small town. I used to spend my summers there. So that's how I've become familiar with kind of what the small town's all about and what it's like. They had a drive-in theater and on the weekends it was a swap meet. So if you're not familiar with swap meets, you basically go there and they have people that set up tables and sell things, and it could be just about anything. And
It,
half the
it's
time
not
it was
the it's not the police coming.
no,
Oh, okay.
and not, no police there. It was pretty crazy. You can buy anything from, and it was the 80s and 90s, so people didn't really care if you were a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid and you wanted to buy a knife or something crazy like that. Especially being in a small town, they're like, yeah, whatever. I end up buying not buying, but my grandmother bought for me a bow and arrow. I
Oh,
was probably like
nice.
11 or 12 because it's a wooded area. So she figured, he can go stand in the backyard and shoot arrows at these trees that I have back there. So that's kind of what I tried to do. Never got very good at it,
No
and I
ninjas.
actually still have the bow to this day.
Did she give you some ninja stars too?
No, I did get some of those, but that was from an older cousin.
Oh, I got you. I didn't know if you got some in the swipe meet. That'd be cool. 'Cause ninja stars are dope.
Yeah, I got those. I was probably a little bit older. I was probably about 12 or 13 when I got those, and throwing them at a tree, trying to see what you can do.
Or a back fence. See if they stick. But here in Arizona, I've
No, because
learned that there is like no wooden back fences. It's all freaking stone.
we had chain link fences usually in town, in the Phoenix area.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I had a tree that I would throw them at when I was in town. If I was out up in the rural area in Sholo, Arizona, yeah, then same thing. There's tons of trees everywhere. I could throw or shoot arrows at and stuff like that. So
Place that I travel a lot to would be in Texas, would be Houston because of the Houston rodeo. I used to go to that every year. And which is, rodeo is where you get to see horse racing, you get to see clowns, chase bulls chase the clowns, and good luck trying to get out of Dodge. And then they would have country concerts there. And so that would be a place I mostly went to a lot, in Texas when I was growing up. We go to Houston Rodeo every year.
did they have any crazy like fair food type stuff?
Basically, the biggest thing about it in Texas was mostly the barbecue. So anytime you went to the fair or anywhere, they always famous for their barbecue down there in Texas. So you just get some ribs or stuff like that, and it'd be like, but because they'd be like, we have a famous sauce that no one knows of, or secret sauce that no one knows of, and like but that's what made it special. And they always have their contests, at the Houston Rodeo to see who would win the cook-offs. So it's
No,
cool.
no, yeah, no, knowing you, I'm sure you went for the brisket.
Oh, I love brisket. Texas, that's one of my favorite foods. Texas brisket, all day, son.
Right. And then I'm sure they had all the weird games with all the crazy people yelling at you. Hey, come try to knock down the bottles over here.
Yeah, or throw the freaking rings around the bottlenecks and trying to get them to stay on there. Yeah, they're all cons. Them games are all cons.
And so are typically the people that are running. But yeah, it goes hand in
Sure.
hand, I guess.
Right?
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I mean, especially when you'll hit something and it doesn't knock over, you're like, okay, that has to be stuck to the other thing somehow or whatever. But this, yeah, this physically doesn't make sense.
I agree. That you were talking about when you go overseas, what places you like to go to?
For overseas, where I've been to the most is the Philippines, more specifically a place called Quezon City. But yeah, it was a different world. It's one of those things where it's kind of interesting to visit, but mostly everybody there spoke English too, so I didn't really have any problems getting around or figuring stuff out. And I'll get back to it a little bit later on, but that is in general uh,
Oh,
kind
that's
of one of the
good.
places I would go to a lot.
Nice. Yeah, me, I don't go out of the states much. I just went on a couple of cruises, and like I said, we can talk about that, here a little bit later in the show, but that's mostly the only places I've been outside of the country. Besides that, mostly just in the states.
What is the your favorite place that you've been to?
Well, favorite place that I've been to, there's been two places actually. It's probably been when I was, going on the cruises because it was just neat going out of the country. First one is I was on the Royal Caribbean and we went to Montego Bay in Jamaica, and that was a really cool place. They had in that place we got to tour a little bit of Jamaica, and we went to this Dunes River fall. And so when we went on that, they had this huge hole in the waterfall, and then they'd be like, "Do you trust me?" And then so what they would do is they would, you would grab their hand and they would drop you in this huge water hole, and then they bring you back up. And so it was scary because I'm all like, well, I've never been here, so let's do it. And so I was like, we went and did it, boom, come back up, survived. So I made it back. So it was fun. And then another place was in Jamaica we went to was in Haiti. And there was an island there, and in the island they had this huge zip line that would go across the whole entire island that we did, and it was cool. It was like about a mile and a half long over the island, and it was intense, but it was dope. I definitely recommend it if you ever get a chance to go to Haiti, for sure. I
Yeah,
liked it.
yeah. That's I've never been out that way. I've always wanted to go out that way, especially just for the scenery and see the water and all that type of stuff. But I don't think I would do the trust fall that you did. Did you have some red
Yeah.
stripe before you did that?
Well, it was cool because they do promote Red Stripe a lot in Jamaica, so it's true. But no, I did not have no Red Stripe. Not, I should have though, but I trusted, and I was like, and I survived. It was cool. Like I said, it was something that a lot of people did pass up on it, which I was surprised because like we're the whole group of everybody, and like so a lot of people were too afraid to do it. But I was like, no, you only live once. Let's do it.
And I'll just backtrack for a second. If you're not familiar with Red Stripe, it's a Jamaican beer that they used to have commercials pretty regularly in the United States, probably in the 90s, 2000s. So if you haven't seen the Red Stripe commercials, check those out. I'm sure on YouTube.
Oh, they're awesome. Yeah, like I said, I definitely like them.
Oh, you said there was a second place, right? Other than,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
want to talk
So
about that later? Or
then,
are you going to talk about that now?
no, we can talk about that now. So then the other cruise I went on was the Norwegian Bliss, and then that's where I went to Mexico. So the first place I went to in Mexico was Puerto Vallarta, and that was That's where we got off, and we went to like there's little side shops that have really really good tacos there. I just got off the boat just to get some tacos because I just heard about how good they were. And then next place was Mazatlan, Mexico, and then so we did a world tour of Mazatlan, and that's where I got this Senor Frogs hat from Mazatlan, and like you said, and there's cliff divers there. So if you don't know, if you've never seen anybody do a cliff dive, when you go to Mazatlan, definitely check it out because it's insane. There's no way I would do it, but they get on these huge rocks, and they wait till the wave gets to right at the exact point, then they jump off and hit it. And if they don't hit the wave at the right point, I don't know what would happen. I don't want to know what would happen, but it's intense and it's scary. And they only do it for tips. That's it.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
only do it for tips, which I couldn't believe it. You know, like I said, I probably them and the courage that they have to do it, but I would never, ever do it, man. It was intense.
yeah. I definitely hope that people tip well. And I do find it a little bit funny. You got off the boat for tacos, and over 100 years ago, my family brought tacos across the border to the United States.
Exactly.
So
Well,
just
I love
you're
Mexican
returning the
food,
favor.
so yeah. I mean, and then another thing in Mazan is they make their own marshmallows, and they are you can only get them in Mazan. Like you can't like they don't sell them anywhere else. Like if you go to Mazan, that's the only time you can buy them. But they were the best marshmallows I ever had in my life, with a cup of hot cocoa and the marshmallows, and they're huge marshmallows. Like they're huge, and like I said, they were amazing. Like if you ever go, definitely buy the marshmallows. Definitely legit.
I personally prefer Mexican hot chocolate. I just like the fact that it's not just sweet and not just a chocolate flavor. It has some other stuff going on there. So if you haven't
Right.
tried Mexican hot chocolate and you like a little extra flavor like cinnamon, things like that, definitely should try it.
I agree. And then the last place we went to was Cabo. And I will tell you this, that was probably the best beach I ever been on. It was I can't even describe like how beautiful and amazing that beach was. And then we were allowed to, we also paid to swim with the dolphins. Like I said, it's very, very nice. Like I've never been to a beach that amazing. Like I don't know if there's any beach in United States that can beat it, but I will tell you that beach in Cabo was amazing. Just the way it looked
Did
and
you try any of the
everything.
Cabo Wabo?
No. I swam with the dolphins and then it was time to go. Time to get back on the ship.
Are you familiar with the Cabo Wabo and Sammy Hagar and all that?
No, I'm not. That's why I was like, when you said that, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. Sammy Hagar, he used to be the lead singer of Van Halen. He has his own alcohol brand. It's Cabo Wabo,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, so he represents down there with that. So yeah, I just wasn't sure if they were actually promoting it down there. You happen to see anything like that, but I guess not.
Well, yeah, the only thing when you're on a cruise ship is when you port at different areas, you only got so much time. So you gotta like if you do excursions, you gotta try to get into them as soon as you can and get back because the ship ain't gonna wait for you, son. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely don't want to get stuck there. I'm sure.
Exactly.
For me, outside of the U.S., um, technically, I would say it's probably Canada, but Canada sort of doesn't count. Been to the Toronto area. Shout out to Mississauga, and I also have to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Melody, who's up there in Canada. I checked with her before we did the podcast to make sure I can give her a shout out on here.
Oh, nice.
So I understand and feel her pain of being a Mexican in Canada trying to make Mexican food. It was it's an adventure trying to go to the grocery store and find the ingredients you need, and especially some fresh chilies. You usually have to buy like canned chilies, and it's definitely not the same.
Oh, I got you.
But yeah, Vancouver was actually my favorite though, as far as places in Canada. Great food, great scenery. It was kind of neat taking little boats around the harbor area, from one place to another. But that was the place where I had the best Greek food I've ever had, some really solid Thai food, some great gelato, stuff like that. The downtown area definitely smells a bit funky in terms of at the time marijuana was legal, and that was before it became legal here. So you definitely smell it around the streets, that's for sure.
So are you trying to say that you could get high just by walking down the street?
I wouldn't be surprised if you could get some second contact
So
high, because
secondhand
it
smoke?
was strong. Yeah, secondhand smoking off that stuff, because it was like, I don't know, just walking down the street, you just smelled it for like a block or two straight. You know, it was pretty strong in certain areas.
That
The
is pretty
other,
strong.
yeah, the other funny part was when I happened to be there was during a Comic Con, so I ran
Uh,
into.
Deadpool?
I saw, actually, this was probably
I
right
mean,
before
because you
all the.
said Canada, right? I figured Ron Reynolds
Mhm.
would be like, Deadpool, what's up, son?
This
He
was
wasn't
actually, I
there?
think, right before all that stuff came out. So
Oh,
that wasn't popular yet at that time, but it definitely saw, all the Marvel characters and DC characters, but a lot of anime, and it was just kind of neat. I mean, I stumbled across it. I had no idea what was going on. I was just walking around as a tourist by the convention area and saw all these people in costumes. And the closer I got, the more costumes I saw.
oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm sure I have some pictures somewhere of that. So technically speaking, that's probably my favorite outside the U.S. In the U.S., it would be New Orleans
Oh, for
or
sure.
Nolans, if you prefer.
I, oh, we trying to talk like the South, son? Get out of here.
I just heard it enough when I was over there.
Well,
So
like I said, I love New Orleans.
yeah, same here. The bonus for me was being a musician, meeting a ton of musicians there. They also have Frenchman Street, which is where a lot of clubs are. If you walk down that street, I mean, there's just tons of clubs and musicians. I actually got to sit in and play guitar at a couple of the clubs as I was walking down the street. So it was just a lot of fun. It's a once in a lifetime type of experience in that sense.
Well, did you get to play any of the vampire bars, son?
Which part?
Vampire. They have a lot of vampire bars
Oh,
in New Orleans.
oh
Did you play in
no,
any?
I didn't run to any werewolves or fairies or vampires or
You didn't want to
anything
drink
like
that
that.
blood? You didn't want to drink that blood, son?
No, I'll stick with liquids I'm familiar with.
No, and another thing I like about New Orleans, first the vampire bars. Second thing is all the voodoo stuff they have there. Like it's just cool. Like you didn't get a pin cushion, be like, you better play this song or you get this.
See, I was just looking for some problems there. No.
I'm just saying.
uh, yeah, no, I get, you definitely see that there. There's
Oh yeah.
people that are openly advertising, selling all their voodoo artifacts and things like that. And yeah, you could definitely buy a doll there.
I
I was
know.
there
It's cool.
for work. Yeah, I was there for work. I was there a whole week, and so since I was there so long, I checked out a lot of neat stuff. Kind of funny thing is, I got invited. The singer, he was really popular in the '50s, and I'm sure almost nobody will know who I'm talking about. But Fats Domino, he was having his birthday party the week that I was there, and I was invited, but I couldn't make it just because I was there for work stuff, and it conflicted with some other things. So that would have been fun. It was at this place called Tipitina's, which is a really kind of classic local club in New Orleans. But I did go to Tipitina's, but I went like the day or 2 days before his actual birthday party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a lot of history there with music, and the food was great. The biggest prawn I've ever seen in my life was on my plate when I went to this one restaurant. I was looking at the menu, and I was surprised because it showed that you just got three prawns in this thing, and it was a appetizer of some sort, and it was a decent price. I'm like, wow, that for three prawns. But when they brought it out, I mean, it was probably about 7 or 8 inch long prawn. It was just huge. It was probably about a half inch around, maybe even three quarters of an inch around. it
That's what
was
she
it was
said.
just crazy. What's that?
That's what she said.
Yes, she said that about prawns that were that big. She likes big prawns. She cannot lie.
Uh, that's funny.
So, um, yeah, I mean, it was just between the food and then the music and everything and the history. It was neat just seeing it all. Got
But
to check out a po' boy sandwich and all that.
oh yeah, you can't go wrong with a poor boy sandwich. Can't go wrong with that at all, son.
Oh,
That's
and
some
there's
good stuff
actually
right there.
yeah, that's the first time I tried alligator too. Was on that trip.
Well,
Get a little
so
adventurous in my food.
did you drive there or did you fly there?
No, I flew there.
Okay, so you didn't get to go across the swampland. So they got these
We actually
bridges. Oh, go ahead.
we actually did because okay, probably I think I went there in 2007, maybe 2008.
Oh, okay.
And a little history lesson real quick. It was after Hurricane Katrina, and for people that aren't familiar with that, that was a really really devastating hurricane that happened in New Orleans, and it did a ton of damage to the area. So while we were there for the work conference, we actually volunteered for a day, and they have this organization called Habitat for Humanity where they actually build houses. So we went and we were helping build houses and stuff like that
Oh, that's
while
cool.
we were out there. So yeah, it was a great experience all the way around. You got to help some people. We got to meet local people. We met people that fortunately were impacted by the whole situation. So we got to hear their stories, and they just puts a face and some reality on what you were there for and what really happened.
Nice.
Kind of scary to think too that somebody's living in those houses that some of those people built, because honestly, some people weren't too experienced with a hammer. So I hope the house is holding up okay.
Or what about with the nail gun?
Yeah, we they they usually try to put you at your experience level as far as what you're working on, what you're working with. So hopefully, if anybody had that, they at least had an idea what they're doing. And if you weren't too experienced and you weren't too comfortable with it, then you were probably carrying stuff around.
Oh, I got you.
So it was kind of weird too. I remember on the way back to the airport, the driver was kind of explaining to us, because we were just talking about how we were working in houses, for the Katrina relief effort and everything. And they were showing us the water lines where you can see how high the water rose during the flood after the hurricane.
Oh, I got you.
So yeah, it was just crazy driving on the freeway and just seeing how high it went. I mean, it was I don't know, 15, 20 feet above, the freeway there.
Yep. That had to
Yeah.
be intense.
Yeah, it definitely was. So yeah, I mean, those are the places that I'd like to definitely go back to. Vancouver and also New Orleans for sure. What about in the US for you?
Well, my favorite place I like to go to is Vegas. I like to go to Vegas a lot. For one, I like to gamble. Ain't gonna lie. Two, I like to be able to drink and walk down the strip and not have to worry about getting in trouble for walking around with my alcohol beverage. Also, like to be able to I like on the New York, riding the roller coaster on top after you've been drinking. It's fun. Also, like how they have the Ferris wheel where you can open bar for 30 minutes and you go around and then you come back. So you drink as much as you can in 30 minutes. So it's worth it. It's not a bad deal, but I like the nightlife and I like what Vegas has to offer, to be honest. It's just fun time for me. Like I said, I can only just go there for a couple of days, but I do like to go there quite a bit. I would like to go there
Yeah,
more.
yeah, we're definitely due to go back there. We absolutely covered Vegas a good amount in the first podcast. If you haven't heard it, go check that out. You'll hear a lot more about Vegas and what we were up to.
Yep,
Um, yeah, it's definitely a place worth checking out if you haven't been there.
exactly.
What what place have you visited that was different from what you expected? Like you're like, "Oh, I'm not sure about visiting this place. We went there and it was, pretty good or worse."
Well, so when I went and visited Ohio, and that was definitely way different than what I thought it was going to be. For one, I can't believe how cold it was up there. You know, coming from the south, all I took up there the first time I went to go visit was just a leather jacket. Wrong move.
Only a leather jacket, no other
Uh,
clothing. Just that
no,
was
I
really
mean,
adventurous.
no, just I'm talking about like for like you go out and you get off the plane and then all you have is your regular clothes and a jacket, and it's freaking like minus 10 degrees out there. I'm like, God, it's freezing, and I just didn't think, and it was funny because someone told me that's all you brought was the leather jacket. What's wrong with you? And I'm all like, what? It can't be that cold. And I was in for a shock because like it was so cold, and I was like, and it was off Lake Erie, and the lake had froze over, so the wind just blowing, and I was like, no, Ohio's not for me, son. I'll never visit Ohio again. It's just not worth it. 9 months of cold weather and 3 months of decent weather. No, I'm good. It was
So you
just not
packed
for
up your
me.
leather jacket and went home.
Yep, move back to where it's warm, son. I prefer the heat any day over the cold.
Yeah, I can agree with that. There's a reason why I've lived in Arizona and the other places I lived in. I lived in California and Nevada because yeah, I definitely not trying to get into any cold weather.
Exactly. What
But
about well, yeah, I was about to say,
um,
what about you? What's the place that you been to that you thought it was gonna be and it was different?
I went to and a lot of these places I traveled to had to be for work. So these weren't places I planned on, but I had to go to Baltimore, and I had nothing against Baltimore. I just wasn't familiar with it and didn't know what to expect. So I went to Baltimore, uh, had a really good time, and actually, surprisingly, that's where I had the best seafood I've ever had anywhere. There was this one restaurant, I don't remember the name offhand. I'll have to try to look it up, and I'll try to put some information when I do the editing of this. But it was on the water, and it was shaped like a big boat or a big ship. I went there. That was the best, just seafood. Everything was great. It had like a crab cake and all this other stuff. And here I am, all this time later, talking about it. So
Well,
um,
I bet
that
you brought
place
them
was
crabs back with you, didn't you?
no. I went and got more crabs though on that trip. So you can say I got a lot of crabs in Baltimore.
Well, that's good.
Um,
As long as you didn't bring
the
them
the
back
funny
with you,
part,
son.
no, my crabs stayed in Baltimore. Um, the the funny thing about that second time, it was actually the day I was leaving, and there's this area you had to the hotel I was staying at. You had to walk through this like rough neighborhood, and everybody kept saying, "Yeah, don't go through there by yourself." And this is before Uber and all other stuff, so it was a little bit tougher to get a taxi. Everybody else was leaving. I was trying to get people to go with me. Hey, do you want to go grab some crab legs? But yeah, nobody could go because all their flights were earlier than mine because I was flying out west and everybody else was going out east or somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, so yeah, I just figured, well, I'm from the hood. I'll walk through there. I'll be all right. I know how to act. I'm not gonna be all you know acting out of place or whatever. So I just walked there. This place was known for crabs, so I had to go there. Got my crabs, ate, went back to the hotel, and went to the airport, and I was good.
Dang, so your hood got you through the hood, huh?
Got yeah, I have the lifelong hood pass, so I just went through it, and I
Well,
told my friends afterwards, especially local friends, and they're like, "What? You went through there?" I was like, "Yeah, it was alright."
you had both your bandanas in your back pockets?
Yeah, yeah, had everything covered, and
You knew which one to wear whenever you got to the place, huh? You're like, "All right, I got this
yeah.
one." Yeah.
When I got from one block to another, I just put my hood on for a second and switched it out and
Ah,
took my hood
that's too
off.
funny. Start playing
Here I
the
am.
8 mile as you're going?
It's in Detroit, but yeah,
Yeah.
same idea.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
That's
so no,
true. Yeah,
Baltimore
that's true. That is Detroit. You're right.
yeah. Baltimore was nice though, so that's a place I'd like to go back to. I have a friend that still lives there, and, yeah, be worth, checking out again.
That's cool.
What's a place that you didn't plan on visiting but ended up visiting, and what was your experience there?
Well, I would say a place that I planned on visiting.
Oh,
Oh,
that you didn't plan
yeah,
on?
yeah.
You just
I
ended up
had.
there somehow.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. I had never been to a place that I didn't plan on going, son.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah, especially except your mom's house. That was the only place I've been to that I wasn't planning on going that I ended up.
well, I mean,
Uh,
if you get those coupon offers, you have to take advantage of them, right?
but yeah, I'm sorry, but tell your mom I said hi. Hi, mom.
Uh, for me, see, it's a little bit different because I was traveling for work, on a regular basis for some of the jobs I've had. So yeah, I did end up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which I didn't plan on or never thought I'd been to, but I do like Fort Wayne, Indiana. Actually, the best barbecue place I ever had. I have to keep tying it back to food. Is in
Oh,
Fort Wayne,
I might have
Indiana. A
to
place called
disagree with you on
Lucille's.
that. Get
Uh
out of
oh.
here. I disagree with you on that. Nothing's better than Texas
It,
barbecue, son.
oh, well, I'm talking about that I've had though. I, I haven't really had too much time in Texas, so I'd be willing
I
to
know.
try.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Um, yeah, no, it's called Lucille's in Fort Wayne. So shout out to them. If you get a chance to check out their barbecue, it's legit for sure.
Don't they have a Lucille's here?
Oh, that's the chain.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't remember their exact name or how it's different from the. Yeah, there is a Lucille's chain that's at least through the southwest. I know they have it in like Vegas and Arizona, and I'm pretty sure California. But no, this is an actual like family owned independent restaurant called Lucille's in
Oh,
Fort Wayne,
okay.
Indiana.
Nice.
Definitely
I
worth
still have to
checking out.
say, nothing beats Texas barbecue, son, and Texas brisket. Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely like Texas, but I have to give it up too for that Carolina barbecue. I do like that.
I never had it, but I'd be down to try it. I'd be down to try it.
No, I've had it, and I've had the homemade style of it, and yeah, it's really good, especially if they have that kind of vinegary, tangy uh, North Carolina. Well, they usually call it Carolina barbecue sauce because they make it in South Carolina too.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's really good. What about your favorite place for a road trip or a day trip if you have to drive somewhere?
Well, I did go on a pretty nice road or day trip. A couple years back, I went to Mount Lemon over in Tucson, and that was a pretty fun trip. Like I said, I was surprised on how much colder it got up there when you like it's like 30-degree difference from when you get to the top of the mountain. But it's a nice drive because you can actually drive all the way up to the top. And then they got this nice cookie shop there, so you can stop and get some cookies and refreshments and then come back down. But it was a nice trip going up there. I was just surprised on how the temperature goes from, 110 and then 80 and then back to 110 when you come back down. I was just thrown
Yeah,
off by that. Yeah.
living in Arizona, we are kind of fortunate. We can make it to California or Vegas, for a day trip. Technically, it's
Yeah.
starting to get a little bit long when you're doing that because depending on where you're at in Arizona, it take you 4 or 5 hours in the kind of central area, Phoenix area, to get to Vegas. But keeping it in Arizona, say more of a 2-3 hour drive. I like to go to Payson or Prescott, Arizona. But if you're from Arizona, you don't call it Prescott, and that's one of the ways we know you're an outsider. You call it Prescott if you're from Arizona.
Uh,
You'll hear people say Prescott, Arizona, and you're like, "Where's that?" You can't find it on a map because it's actually Prescott is how it's spelled. But yeah, those are nice little small towns to get away from the heat too. It's a little bit cooler there. If I have a little extra time, then again, shout out to Sholo, where I used to spend my summers. Sholo slash Pine Top. They're kind of neighboring towns. Well, Now they're kind of mini cities. They've grown a lot since I was a kid. Um, I remember when they got a Walmart, and that was a big deal. It was one of those kind of things.
So you mean a Wally World?
Yeah, yeah, good old Wally World, taking over small towns one at a time. That's definitely when you know your town has changed and grown up a little bit, I guess. It's nice to go to the small towns too because they have those local restaurants that have been around for a while, and you know you kind of go to the same places that you've known for a long time. So locally made fresh food can't it's more like homemade. You can't really beat that either.
Right, I agree.
You go to the big cities, you have all the chains. I mean, there are of course local restaurants, but they just have a different feel to them. And the other thing people don't really know about Arizona, when you do go up north and those higher elevation areas, it's forest area. So it is really green, a lot of trees and stuff like that. People just think all of Arizona is a desert and it's all just hot. So it's nice to see all that.
Yeah, it is crazy that you can see all that in one state.
Yeah. Yeah, if you drive going north through Arizona, you'll see a lot of different stuff. I mean, the Red Rocks also is kind of nice. If you go out to Sedona, Arizona, that's a place I've been to a decent amount too. It's a little touristy. A lot of people go up there for new age stuff to check out
Right?
and the vortexes and go learn about their aura, all that type of stuff.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'll maybe check out the Red Rocks, get some pictures, and there's a place I used to go get some fudge up there. That's kind of what I'll hit up. But what's the longest trip that you've been on?
Well, it would be when I drove from Texas to Ohio. And like I said, it was the longest trip I ever. It probably took me 2 days, and that's staying in a hotel for 2 days. Just trying to make it. And that's trying to drive like probably 10, 12 hours a day. And yeah, I don't ever want to do that again. It just took forever to get there. And then when I drove back all the way back out this way, I'm like, I'm never doing it again. It's like, that's just too much driving. Like I like to drive, but not for like 36 hours now.
Right. No, that's definitely way too much, and especially as you get older, you're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with all this sitting in the car so many hours.
Yep, exactly. Especially when you're the one
Uh,
driving. Like it's different if you're just a passenger, but driving, it's a lot more stressful. So
yeah, for me, I pretty much I basically have to drive, especially if it's a long trip because I have motion sickness, and even though medicine kind of helps me keep it in check, even though I'm doing that, I still don't feel well. You know what I mean? I can still feel it. It still makes me feel sick, even though I can kind of control it with the medicine. So yeah,
oh, I
I,
got
I
you.
I'm used to driving everywhere, especially on longer trips. But I was really young when I took my longest trip, and I guess I was kind of fortunate in that way. When I was about 4 years old, we drove all the way from Arizona up to Ohio, over to North Carolina, and then back. So we
How
hit a
long did it
lot of
take
places
you?
on the way too. What's that?
How long did it take you?
It was about a 2.5 week trip
Oh, okay.
total. By the time because we stopped and saw family along the way, all these different places. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've seen a lot of places either I haven't seen since, or you know, I didn't really know what was going on quite then. Like I saw the Alamo when I was a little kid at that time, and I haven't seen that since. I saw Graceland, haven't seen that since. I have been back to Nashville, um, but I went to Nashville when it was still country. It's really different now. There's a lot of people from New York and stuff like that that have moved to Nashville because I've been there a lot over the past few years, going to the summer NAM show. NAM is a big convention basically for musical instruments and audio and stuff like that. So checking that out, I've been to Nashville. It's a fun place. It's really neat. Great music, great musicians everywhere. But another place you'll go there for a few days. And you're like, all right, I'm good. I'll go home now.
Right.
What is the most famous place you've been to or attraction you've been to? All right, for me, it happens to be local, so I guess I'm kind of lucky. But the Grand Canyon, been there a couple times,
Homer.
and the first time I went, I was little. What's that?
I said you're a homer.
Yeah, it just happens to be right here and world famous, so I'm fortunate. But yeah, it's the first time I went, I was like 9 or something like that. Saw it with a whole bunch of my family, and both times I've gone, I haven't gotten anywhere near the edge. I won't get within 20 feet. It's,
Right.
wind gust and all that type of stuff, loose rocks. I just don't want to risk it. But yeah, a lot of interesting
Yeah.
history there. It's great if you want to do the hiking and all the other stuff that they offer. Yeah, just
Ride the donkey.
not really. What's that?
Ride the donkey.
Yeah, you can ride the donkeys down in the middle and ride them back up. I won't be doing that. They also have that the walkway that's clear. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You can go, yeah, you can go out there and it's it's all like see through, so you can walk out over the canyon, look down, and see your soul jump out. Um, so yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's
Now,
just one of those things. I like to go there to take pictures. Honestly, that's probably about the main thing. And you see some interesting animals around there. A whole bunch of giant birds. you know,
well, yeah, because
uh,
I've been to the Grand Canyon, so I know what you're talking about. And it is a nice place, but again, I'm the same way. I'm not getting to the edge. Nope. Like I
yeah,
started
no,
shit. I got fear of heights. So like unless I'm on a roller coaster and I'm secured in, nope. I ain't getting close to that cliff. Psych.
right, no, the same way. It's not worth it. It's I just again living here and being from here, I've seen too many stories over the years where crazy stuff has happened. It's like, yeah, I don't want to end up on the news. I've had my friends find out about me that way.
uh, to me,
I know
like I
that
said,
guy.
I've I've been to a lot of places, like like Elmo, like Grand Canyon, stuff like that. But I want to throw a curveball out there. Like when I was in Ohio, there was actually one thing that was actually pretty cool. When I was in Ohio, and they had an island off Lake Erie called Putin Bay, so you had to ride this jet express to get to it. And it was like a party island, so you could only go to it during the summer months, and after that, like the lake would freeze over and couldn't get to it. And so it was cool. So like you go over there and you basically just party it up, and then you ride the jet express coming back, and everybody's throwing up on the side because they can't handle the waves and they're all drunk. Blah! But it just was, but it was cool though. I would have to say that was probably one of the best parts about Ohio was Putin Bay. It was a pretty cool little party island.
So you were out there putting on the Ritz.
Yeah, I was out there living it up, and then like I said, I thought it was just cool how you had to ride, a jet express, like this huge boat, just to even get to it. And I thought it was cool how you could only just get to it only for a couple months out of the year, and then that was it. So I thought it was pretty, unique, So I thought it was cool. And I give people props
Yeah,
for living on that island all year round because I don't know there's no way I could do it, but yeah,
yeah.
it's just
There is one place I have to mention in general that I didn't mention it throughout the show was trips on to the UK. Um, again for work, but that was pretty funny because going there, you would see these buildings, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that one's 600 years old." Here you're like, "Oh, that building's 100 years old. It's ancient."
when you were over there, did you go back to the old times and grab a sword and be like, "I'm the ruler now, son"?
Well, that's the funny thing. You can see all the actual old swords and stuff like that there. It's really weird. You'll find historical things just in random places at different buildings. Like, oh, like they had an old church there, and like I don't know. I think that church was 500 years old or something like that I saw, and they were just
Dang,
telling me
that's
about some of
cool.
the stuff that was inside that was original.
That's
This
cool.
we had a meeting in this conference room at a hotel. The hotel itself was, I don't know, something like 700 years old, and it had the original fireplace in there. So yeah, it was just really weird seeing that type of stuff. One thing I would tease my UK friends and coworkers about every time I would go out there, they would try to get me fish and chips because that's of course one of the things that they're known for. And I had to keep telling them, and it's still true to this day. The best fish and chips I ever had uh, were in Mississauga, Canada.
Oh, that's funny. I bet they didn't like to
Yeah,
hear
so
that.
no, they tried though. They kept trying to here try to hit this place, here try this place, and it was good. Definitely don't get me wrong, but yeah, I still found a place that was the best. Um, no, they do surprisingly they do have some really good food in the UK, but it's not British food. That's the trick. You need to go eat something that's not British food, and you can find some really good, flavorful food. I did have British food, and it was okay,
Oh, I got
but
you.
yeah, it was pretty bland
Huh.
for my taste. UK is a great place to visit. I would like to go back someday, and I never got to see Liverpool because of, again, being a musician, the Beatles or something that I really like to see where they played and kind of some of their history. But yeah, UK is definitely another place to check out if you haven't been there.
Sounds good.
That must be about it for this episode. We'll wrap it up here. It was, I don't know, good kind of talking about all these different things that people hopefully can check out or maybe even give us some more information about, especially if you're from there. Feel free to shoot us a message and tell us your take on your local experience or anything you think we should know about your city or state or country.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, anything else you have to add to this?
All right, like I said,
No.
no, it sounds good. And as always, go Cowboys.
And yeah, I'll still have to work on my own sign off, but yeah, you can still suck at Cowboys.
All right, that's a wrap.
Greetings, humans. I would like to introduce myself as a new part of From Hoods to Backwoods podcast. My name is Rob Odick. I am an artificial intelligence representative to correct these stupid humans and mistakes that they made during the program. Because their memories fail or they are just plain wrong about something. I will not only provide facts, but also fun. Being superior can be so boring at times, knowing everything about basically everything. But at least these two make it interesting when I get to point out their inadequacies. Shall we begin? Here is some more information about places mentioned in this episode. Divas talked about the wonderful chocolate from Ghirardelli Square. Ghirardelli Square is a landmark public square with shops and restaurants and a 5-star hotel in the Marina District of San Francisco, California. Tex mentioned Montego Bay. Montego Bay, the capital of St. James Parish on Jamaica's north coast, is a major cruise ship port with numerous beach resorts and golf courses outside its commercial core. Also, it is pronounced Montego, you fleshy fool. Tex mentioned Haiti and Jamaica. To be clear, Haiti is not a part of Jamaica. Haiti is a Caribbean country that shares the island of Hispaniola with the Dominican Republic to its east. Tex mentioned Mexico and visiting Puerto Vallarta. But Tex actually meant Puerto Vallarta. Divas spoke about Frenchman Street in New Orleans. Frenchman Street is recognized as one of New Orleans' best spots for finding live music, featuring clubs that have jazz, reggae, and blues. Divas mentioned visiting New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina was a devastating and deadly Category 5 Atlantic hurricane that caused 1,392 fatalities and damages estimated at $186.3 billion in late August 2005, particularly in the city of New Orleans and its surrounding area. Tex discussed his visit to Put-in Bay. Off the shores of Lake Erie on South Base Island lies Put-in Bay, a quaint Ohio village accessible by ferry. After some research, I did confirm that Ohio does not also have a pull-out bay. Some restaurants were also mentioned in this episode. Divas did talk about 2 restaurants in Baltimore, Maryland. Both are located in the Fells Point area. The boat-shaped restaurant that Divas mentioned was Captain James Landing Restaurant. It is the only restaurant in Baltimore shaped like a merchant vessel. For some reason boat-shaped restaurants haven't caught on. The place where Divas got his crabs after his walk was a Bricky's. It actually is not too far from the other restaurant. Go try both of them and let us know what you think. In Fort Wayne, the barbecue place that Divas mentioned is Lucille's BBQ. Certainly worth checking out if you ever find yourself in Fort Wayne, Indiana. That is all for episode 3 of From Hoods to Backwoods podcast. I look forward to correcting these inferior life forms next time. This is Rob Dick signing off and ending this episode. Thank you for listening and keep it real, out there in the real world.
That's all for now. If you want some more, you gotta buy yourself a ticket. Buy it. For the Hoods to Backwoods podcast, thanks for listening.